Hey guys, Happy New Year. I am John Carrick, author of Legacy of a Mad Scientist and The Legend of Ashley Fox. This one's a story about Dr. Fox who creates an AI in the future. And this one is about his daughter after she inherits it from him and all the troubles that come with that. Today we are doing 100 Bullets number 8 because it's the first one that I've got. I don't have number 1. I think there's 100 of these. We are going to do all of them eventually. I have number 9, so we'll do that next. This is probably the best written comic book of all time, in my humble opinion. It's about this guy in the center, Agent Graves, who runs the Minutemen, and the Minutemen work for the Trust. This is very high table John Wick-ish speak, where there's all these institutions and groups that you've never heard of before. And in this scene, Agent Graves is selling something to a drug dealer, or a drug dealer's paying him $2 million for something he gave him, some kind of information. We're not really clear quite what. The drug dealer is written really well. He's practically Drexel in True Romance, or any other, Lawrence Fishburne in any of his drug dealer roles. King of New York. King of New York was... If you guys haven't seen King of New York, I think it's Brian De Palma. Might not be. Might be somebody else. As a matter of fact, I'm sure it's someone else. And I'm not remembering the name. It doesn't really matter. In here, though, Agent Graves and the drug dealer have a little back and forth about what he's been doing with his time and whether or not he's paid Agent Graves the money that he owes him. There's $2 million that he's paying Agent Graves. And Agent Graves tells him about this other gang in Detroit that has lost some steam or some power, some clout. And he tells them that they should move in on him. And so they establish trust. It's 4 pages of them establishing trust. Agent Graves leaves with the money. And this is why it makes, and here we get an ad for the Matrix. And this is why this is such a great book. The very first thing that happens here is as Agent Graves walks out, this is an ad. This is an ad, and it does look like a page, but it's not. As Agent Graves walks out, he tells the waiting police officers, "We're all good. Go on in." And the cops proceed to bust the place and shoot up everybody. So that's the kind of guy you're dealing with Agent Graves. You never know the whole story. You're never getting the full deal. And that's the writing that Brian Azzarello brings to every scene. Remember, a scene is a short story. That from here to here is a single story. That's all you really need. This is a short story. A government agent screws over some gangsters and they all get killed. Right? Here, the same sort of thing happens at his next meeting. Now he's meeting with one of the Minutemen who thinks everyone in their group is dead except for him and Graves and their team commander, a guy named Shepard. This is just awesome. This is really awesome. So here we get this guy Lono, right? His name is Lono. He behaves like Lobo. He's like Lobo, only without the white skin and the goatee. He's essentially a cleaner, cooler version of Lobo. He dresses like Sam Axe in Burn Notice with the Hawaiian shirts. He's a much more vicious version of Sam Axe. If Sam Axe had no morals and would kill anybody for money. So Lono is meeting with Agent Graves, and there's this awesome side story where the waitress has these 2 guys hitting on her. They're clearly in somewhere like Miami. It looks like Miami. I think it's Miami. It might be anywhere in Florida. It might be anywhere really. But it could be Venice Beach. These 2 guys are hitting on the waitress named Sophie. The one guy tells her, "My cojones on fire for you." And this is good writing. So Lono has his meeting with Agent Graves. They tell Sophie. I love how, so not only does he have stories where someone's getting set up, he has two stories going at once. This is great writing. This is why it's a great comic. Look at the art. I saw a review of this recently that said it should have been a lot dirtier. But I think this was in the beginning of digital inks. So they were excited about making it look clean, and the dirt has to be projected with your own mind. It's really the nature of the story that is so greasy and filthy and dirty. And they really do it with just the shades, shadows. I will talk about who the colorists are. Edward Risso is the artist. I know there's a colorist's name in here, and I'm not going to be able to see it with my fucking awful eyes. Especially not in that tiny little box right there. And really, it's the writing that stands out. You can tell I'm all jazzed and hyped on the writing. But given that every panel in here is necessary, I wouldn't cut a single frame. This is 100 Bullets is the best TV show that never was. Jews in America don't have the balls to make this TV show. If this had still been white-run media like back in the days of my parents, like the Rockford Files and all those awful fucking shows, Falcon Crest and Dynasty, this would have been a show already. This is pure Americana, and this is everything the Jews hate and want to destroy and want to make gay. So here's Lono sitting down with Agent Graves again. Sophie, their waitress, is trying to entertain these two guys who are flirting with her. And Agent Graves and Lono have a long conversation about who's dead and who's not of the Minutemen. Lono is convinced he's the only remaining member. 8 of the 7. There's 7 Minutemen members. Agent Graves explains there are always 7 Minutemen, and he just brought a new one on board from Chicago. And that was Desi, or Dizzy, I think is her name. She was a gangster. In the first episode, she gets out of prison. He makes her a member of the Minutemen. Agent Graves also has this case of untraceable bullets that he goes around and gives to random people just throughout the story. He's not doing it right here. Right here, he's meeting with one of his old assassins, Lono, and he's giving him $2 million in cash. And you can see Lono pockets one of the bricks, one of the $10,000 bricks, right off the top. He doesn't even trust leaving it in the briefcase. And so then this is great, right? Then they have this big conversation about whether or not Shepard is still alive, and if Lono ever sees him, he's going to kill him, etc., etc. Lono is all talk, and Agent Graves is a calculating son of a bitch. Agent Graves then, okay, so now this is cool. Now we get this guy walking down the street with his bulldog, and he passes by. These guys are still talking about he's going to kill Shepard. This is a long conversation, and there's a new Minutemen member, and not all of the original 7 were dead anyhow. Lono doesn't know that they're dead or not. He just thinks they're dead, and has gone on, believing that. And he's been out of touch for a while. And then we get Agent Graves does this bit where he, have we gotten there yet? No, this is the bulldog bit. So these 2 pages, the bulldog comes by, it frightens the guy who's been hitting on Sophie, and he kicks it, and the musclehead wants to start a fight, but the guy puts a gun under his chin, and so he decides it's not worth it. And then we get this bit. Agent Graves pulls a 50 out of his pocket and lets it fall to the ground, right? The waitress, Sophie, picks it up, and he doesn't ask her anything about it. And Lono leaves with the briefcase full of cash. And Graves tells him he's got a job for him, or he's paying him for something, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what. Doesn't matter. Lono is a huge fixture in this series. And I don't remember any of this. I just remember that it was awesome. So Agent Graves tells Sophia that, can you believe it? I just gave that Claude, that idiot, $2 million. He's walking away with $2 million. Sometimes business is so rough. I can't believe my life. Wow, aren't things crazy? She goes and tells her friends immediately that, hey, this guy has $2 million. And where is she? Yeah, here she tells him over the fence. And they climb right into their car and go after him. They're after Lono. And then we get a shot of Agent Shepard, who is sitting 2 doors down in another cafe, listening to the conversation. And he gets a phone call from presumably Agent Graves or somebody else. So Lono's about to get robbed for $2 million by these gangsters. This is like right out of Brian De Palma's, Scarface. This is a great comic. Let me get a Batman ad. This is Vertigo. Vertigo is an imprint for more mature readers from Detective Comics. And this is probably one of the best comic books ever made. This is like reading a movie. It's like watching a movie or a really good HBO TV show. This is awesome. This is what comics should be. And today's card, let's see if I can remember this. This is always a test of my memory. This was a good one, and I remembered thinking, this is pretty intense. Yes, I remember this. This is really intense. You are the leader of a small community, and one of the members, a male, comes to you. He has a wife and kids, and he tells you that he can't deal with it anymore and that he's going to take his own life. His wife is incredibly depressed. He has children. What do? How do you explain to this guy that things will get better? I'm going to take an opportunity to explain that to you guys right now. Things will get better. I struggled with thoughts of suicide off and on throughout my life. I was the most picked on kid in every class of every grade that I went through in school because of my eyes. I was the clumsiest, skinniest, least athletic, most picked on kid in every school I went to. And then I would come home and have to be an older brother to first 5 younger siblings. Well, first, by the time I was in school, there was 5 or 6 of us. By junior high, there was probably 10 of us. My youngest sister was born when I was a senior in high school. 14 children. I'm the oldest of 14 children. So I was getting picked on mercilessly at school. My mom was a tyrant. To say abusive doesn't do it justice. She was a psychopath from the time I was 2 to the time she passed away. And you could say that the stress of having 14 kids got to her. Yeah, it surely did. But she didn't always have 14 kids, and she was an asshole before she had 1. It's a terrible thing to say about your mom, but some women are absolute psychopaths, and my mom was one of them. And she tyrannized us kids and my dad. So I have been faced with a lot of struggles in my life. The eye thing was really bad. But I realized pretty young I discovered Conan. I got to see Conan the Barbarian, the movie, on my birthday, whatever year it would have been on HBO. I was a little kid, and we didn't really have HBO, but it was like the one summer month that it was free from the cable providers. We only had like basic cable. And this was when, if you didn't have basic cable, you really didn't have anything. And so for this summer, HBO was free, and I woke up in the middle of the night. This wasn't planned. The movie had already started, and I got to watch basically 2/3, 3/4 of Conan the Barbarian. And it happened to be my birthday. And I remember my mom getting up and telling me and my dad to turn it off. None of the other kids had woken up. It was summer. And that stuck with me in such a way, such a big way. I don't know why. Well, I know why, because it was a wish fulfillment, power fantasy, male power fantasy, absolutely. And I realized that if I didn't want to be, bitch made for my entire life, I was going to have to do something about it. No one was coming to rescue me. And I got told this throughout my childhood over and over and over again. I was going to have to step up, set the example for my younger brothers and sisters. I never complained to my parents about what was going on at school, about being bullied. Never once. I told them, I think I told my dad once or twice, and that I needed to learn how to fight. And there was no answer to that. There was no martial arts classes for you. There was no nothing. There was, get a job. There's no stop fighting at school. That's all it was. So yeah, I've gone through literally pretty much hell in this life. I really have. And being an adult wasn't any easier. There was no financial help from my parents they bought me a computer at one point after I got out of animation school. They financed it, and I didn't want them to, but my mom put it on a credit card, and I never heard the end of it. It was a gift where you had to make payments on it. The gift was, we can buy this, but you have to pay us every month. And that didn't work out. I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford a payment every month. I was making no money. To make it out here in Los Angeles, in the entertainment industry, you don't have to be something special. You have to have security. You have to have some security at home. They pay you very, very little so that only the rich kids can really afford to make it. It's kind of, it's a gatekeeping process, The lower rungs are so poorly paid that unless you can donate some of your own cash for gas, for food, for trips, for whatever you may need in the moment, sometimes to get things done, you need money to grease the wheels. And Los Angeles is set up to like with any other rich job, with any other really well-paid job, there's going to be a lot of competition for it. And that competition means that the employers can afford to pay you almost nothing. So that just is what it is, That's the way of the world. And I did really well considering my background. I became a studio editor and made some good money for a good long time. But that's also a glass ceiling, not a dead-end job, but a dead-end. If you don't want to be an editor, don't take work as an editor. If you don't want to be a gaffer, don't take work as if you don't want to be a gas station attendant, don't take work as a gas station attendant. That's definitely a lesson I learned out here. And then when the culture war happened, I lost everything before the culture war. When I switched from television to fashion, I took a huge, not so much of a bump in money, but a big loss of friendships. If you're not working in the industry, people don't have time for you. People who were your friends suddenly aren't your friends, with the exception of one guy. Pretty much all my friends shifted from television to fashion people. And meanwhile, I was still writing, and those were internet friends where I was posting my chapters and whatnot. And, so after that, then the culture war happened, and man, I couldn't get work for nothing in this town. And everyone was pretending that it wasn't because you're a white male. We all know that's why now. So what do you tell? What do you tell someone like this? Anyhow, I got through it. Look, I got through it. I muscled through it. I realized that I was going to have to be the guy who decided what gave my life meaning, not other people's opinion of me, not my reputation, which had been stellar. I did great work, but then all of a sudden I was a white man who'd been in the Marine Corps. And in Jew-run Hollywood, we are the anathema right now. So you have a friend who's going to commit suicide. The one thing I can tell this guy is, dude, fucking hang in there. It will get better. It will get better. Suicide is a bitch-made way out, and it takes a lot of courage at the same time. It takes a lot of courage to think about suicide. A significant amount of courage. And it takes a significant amount of courage to actually do it. I didn't want it. I didn't hate my life bad enough. I hated my life. I hated the world. I don't hate me. I think that's the one thing that kept me good. I don't hate myself. I haven't made the mistakes to really loathe myself. I'm not a drug addict. I haven't fucked people over. I have made mistakes, yes. I have done shitty things to people, yes. I have done things that I regret, yes. But they're very small, and I learned that lesson on the first exposure. So that's, and now I'm anti-fragile. I am bulletproof. There's nothing you can make fun of my hair, make fun of the fact that I don't have kids. The other night, I heard someone, twice now, I've heard someone I respect make fun of a person because he was older and didn't have children. My first girlfriend, I don't even want to say. I've steady relationships up until the point of my mid to late 40s, where I'm at now, and it's not up to you whether or not you have kids. You can say it is, but it's really not. It's God in the world. So don't let anyone get in your face. You know, I'll be just fine without this guy who I thought I respected, who talked shit about this. He didn't just burn his bridge with me. There's other people who heard that and fucking took it to heart too. People sitting right there on his own stream who probably felt a sharp edge of that a little bit. So it's a strange world. Don't let the world's opinion of you or its presentation, don't let the simulation of this world tell you that you're worthless. You're absolutely not. You can do a lot more than you think you can. You can accomplish a lot more than you think you can. Really. Danny DeVito has all the money in the world, and even with my fucked up eyes, I know he'd give all of it for one day in my body. I'm sure he'd love to go out to the beach and be smiled at by pretty girls. Everybody gets something. See you guys tomorrow.